To start with George Will. Mr. Will, a lot of focus on these battleground states where the polls are tight. So what issues do you expect will end up mattering most to voters, and how do you see this playing out?
Well, the president's rhetoric tells you what he thinks. He's talking about the economy, and I think that's right. Some of the issues the Democrats have stressed will not, I think, be decisive in the late stages of the campaign. The fate of democracy is too abstract for people. The climate is too distant, the crisis that is supposedly coming upon us. And I'm not even sure that abortion will, because people now realize that when Roe was overturned, that didn't make abortion illegal. It made it a subject for regulation by the states, and particularly in Senate campaigns, senators have very little to do with this. So I think what you're going to see is crime and inflation, which is ubiquitous and which reminds the voters of its presence every time they buy a loaf of bread or a gallon of gas.
And we just had an awful story here in Chicago with 14 people shot, including 3 children in Chicago at a Halloween party. That's crime. Let's talk more about economics now. Mark, Bankrate just released a new survey of how Americans see their finances since President Biden took office. There's a big contrast based on age groups and party affiliation about how they're feeling about this economy. Please tell us what you found.
Sure. Good to be with you, Mitch. First of all, when we asked Americans this question, 43% said their personal finances are worse compared to 2 years ago. Only 1 in 5, 18%, said their personal finances are better, and 39% said they're about the same. And when we break that down across groups, it turns out that younger Americans, we're not just talking about voters, but we're talking about those really Americans across the board. It tends to be the case that younger Americans said they were faring relatively better, older Americans faring relatively worse, and perhaps it should not come as a surprise that, broadly speaking, Democrats were saying that their finances were faring better relative to Republicans.
Back to crime now. Wilbur, you served for the New York City Police Department, and New York City has seen a surge in crime in recent years. So how do you think the crime issue will affect some of these races, including the one in your home state? Lee Zeldin, the Republican candidate for governor, kind of making a foothold in New York, a traditionally Democratic stronghold based on crime numbers.
Well, good morning. Crime is a great equalizer. It doesn't make any difference whether you're in an urban area or in a rural area. People want to feel safe in their homes, going about their business in the streets. And clearly, it's something that affects individuals in a way that will force them to come out and be active in civic activities in terms of voting. Crime normally in the last 2 major epidemics was associated with drugs, whether it was the heroin epidemic in the 60s and the 70s or the crack epidemic in the 80s or 90s. Now we just see, because of a complete or almost complete breakdown in the respect for authority and institutions, you see it proliferate on a daily basis, whether it's crimes against property and burglaries or whether it's physical assaults. It's set up a mindset in society where people are feeling that they're totally insecure and are reaching out more and more to their police to obtain that security that they're certainly entitled to.
Mark, we have a viewer question now for you. This is from Carol Robinson. She wrote this on Twitter. She asked, why is the current economy not being compared to the economy during the Trump administration? It was far worse then than now. COVID-19, supply chain issues, deaths, no jobs. I don't see how voters are comparing the two. That's a tough question for you to answer, perhaps, but what do you think?
I don't know how tough it is for me to answer. First of all, she asked why it's not being discussed. We're discussing it now. I don't know that's a terribly relevant question for Americans who are living in the moment. If the former president is successful in getting the nomination for the next presidential election, then perhaps it's more worthy of discussion. But these are really issues that Americans are grappling with every day right now. And what all of us are having to deal with are the relatively unprecedented confluence of events that include a pandemic, historically high inflation, and the war in Ukraine. And so these times are quite unique, and they are remarkably challenging. And it's not just about a president. A president is not an all-powerful elected official. They do have limits on their power, and nevertheless, the buck does stop at the Oval Office.
And George, I want to ask the last question to you. We talked about some of the ways that this election might turn. One of those issues is candidate quality. And even Mitch McConnell, a Republican, has bemoaned some of the candidate quality. Meanwhile, Democrats have spent a lot of money supporting Republicans they feel will lose. Will folks look at the candidate or will they look at the party?
Increasingly, it seems they ignore some of the attributes of the candidate which in earlier times would seem to be disqualifying. We are so tribal and so polarized in our political thinking in the United States that we want the blue shirts or the red shirts, and that's all we think about. The big question is going to be whether some governors who are going to be running very strong for the Republican Party, DeWine in Ohio, Kemp in Georgia, will be strong enough to pull across the finish line some, shall we say, weaker Senate candidates such as Walker in Georgia and Vance in Ohio.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.